Hello everyone, this is the BoardGameSwede and today we're playing Eldritch Horror again. It's been a while since we played anything last time, but hopefully we'll keep at it this time. And I've chosen Abhoth as our ancient one, since I haven't really seen anyone play against Abhoth, so I thought, why not? Sure, why not go over him while we have him here? Abhoth, the source of uncleanliness. On a reckoning effect, the lead investigator spawns one cultist monster on a wilderness space that does not contain a cultist monster. Then if there are 6 or more cultist monsters on the game board, advance doom by 1. When 3 mysteries have been solved, investigators win the game. When Abhoth awakens, flip this sheet and resolve the Abhoth awakens effect on the back. I have already assembled a Mythos deck, so that is all done, and I have set aside 8 cultists and all the Abhoth special encounters. As you see, his cultists are a bit weird. They have 3 toughness, and whenever an investigator encounters a cultist monster, he draws and resolves a spawn of Abhoth special encounter. So we have an extra encounter if we want to fight cultists. And since he is spawning cultists a lot, we will be doing this a lot. So yeah, that is Abhoth. I have also done a few other things as part before we did the investigators and stuff. I have drawn a random prelude card, and funnily enough, we have the epidemic card. If we can zoom in here. Well, let's choose investigators before actually reading this, because we do this after we have our investigators. So here I have all the investigators that we have not used yet, and I will just roll a d20 and we will pick randomly who we will have. And let's zoom in a bit on the dice tray. And we'll see. So 2. We will skip over the first 2 and then pick the next one. So here we have Dexter Drake. And let's do this again. Another 2. So here we have Bob Jenkins. And now we just have the 1. So we will have Joe Diamond. And finally we have 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We will have Michael McGlenn, the gangster. So that's our investigators. I will pick out their items and stuff, and then we'll go over them. So be with you in a bit. Okay, now I have picked everyone's things out, all of their stuff. And we will start with Dexter Drake. He starts in Tokyo, and he has a binding spell and 1 arcane assistance spell. And his backstory here. When the Great War ended, Dexter went from being a soldier to a stage magician. His charm and unparalleled skill quickly drew praise from around the world. As he toured the exotic corners of the world, he amassed a collection of genuine occult knowledge. Soon Drake became as much a master of real magic as he is of staged illusions. Eventually his arcane studies revealed a dark power that is growing in strength. Now in Tokyo, Drake spends his nights performing and his days stopping the end of the world. Yeah, let's go through his stuff. Or maybe we should go through his front first here. So Dexter Drake, the magician. As an action, move 1 monster on your space to another space containing a gate. And his ability is once per round. When you gain a spell, you may gain 1 additional spell. Don't be afraid, I have spent my entire life doing the impossible. 5 health, 7 sanity, and these are his stats. Really good at lore, good at will, and I guess okay at influence, observation, and strength. He will also be our first lead investigator since we picked him first. So here's the binding spell. Whenever you or another investigator on any space resolves a combat encounter, you may test lore. If you pass, reduce that monster's damage to 1 during that encounter, then flip this card. And he also has the Arcane Assistant, an ally. Roll 1 additional die when resolving a lore test as part of a spell effect. So that's good. And then we have Bob Jenkins. He starts in London. He has a Winchester rifle and 1 clue. According to Bob, the secrets to success as a salesman is persistence. People just need to be told what it is that they want, repeatedly. Recently, Bob came into possession of a handful of unusual golden coins, and Bob hopes that the same persistence he so famously advocates will help him to uncover their origin and purpose. His subsequent research taught him that the coins are rare and valuable, but also that some sort of curse is attached to them. Collectors refuse to touch them, but Bob is sold. He wants to know more. So he has 7 health and 5 sanity. His action is: you may trade any number of item or trinket possessions with another investigator on any space. And his ability is: when you perform an acquire assets action, reduce the value of each card in the reserve by 1 to a minimum of 1. So that's really good. And he's really good at influence and pretty good at strength. And then he is only decent at lore, observation, and will. So here is his clue. And this is his Winchester rifle. It's an item weapon. Once per round you may gain +4 strength during a combat encounter. So that's really good, at least once per round. Yeah. And then we have Joe Diamond. So he starts in San Francisco and he has a 32 Colt pocket asset. The dame who hired Joe was square, and the job seemed easy on the surface. She paid it in advance to have Joe find some codger and deliver a crate, but Joe does not walk into situations without knowing the score. The codger was a member of the Silver Twilight Lodge, and the crate had been stolen from a museum in Istanbul. Like a sucker, Joe went to the cops. For his troubles, he got a broken nose and a dead client, and somebody stole his cargo. Now Joe is ready for a little payback. So Joe Diamond, the Private Eye. As an action, choose ally, service, or weapon. Then discard 1 asset from the reserve and replace it with 1 random asset from the deck of the chosen trait. And his ability is: once per round when you improve a skill, also improve 1 other skill of your choice. I was hired for a job, evil, gods or no, aim to finish it. Yes, and he is really good at observation. He's decent at, or good at influence, and decent at lore, strength, and will. And here is his 32 Colt pocket. It's an item weapon. Roll 1 additional die when resolving a strength test during a combat encounter, and you may re-roll 1 die when resolving a strength test during a combat encounter. And finally, we have Michael McGlenn, the gangster. He joins Bob in London, and he has a Tommy gun asset. When the abandoned gang needs to send a message, they send the big man, Michael McGlenn. Not long ago, his friend Fast Louis Farrell was attacked by a bunch of inhuman things with ugly fish-like faces. They sliced him up and dragged him under the water. McGlenn took it personally. The word has spread. McGlenn has loaded up his Thompson and everyone else had better get out of his way. His first stop is London, where he intends to find out what these creatures are called and where he has to go to kill every last one of them. As an action, if you are in a city space, you may gain one item or service asset of your choice from the reserve. If you do, gain a wanted condition. Once per round, you may re-roll one die when resolving a deal or pursuit condition effect. Don't care if it's a god. If it crosses me, it's gonna regret it. He has 8 health and 4 sanity. He's really good at strength and pretty good at influence and will. Decent at lore and really bad at observation. And we also have his weapon, the Tommy gun, and he just gets +4 strength during combat encounters. So it's a strictly better weapon than what Bob has, but they're both pretty good. And that's all of our investigators. And as I said, I had already chosen the epidemic prelude at random. So funnily enough, it works really good with Abhoth, since it has to do with him. So let's just read what happens. Double over in pain, the infection racks your body. You convulse, hacking up blood and phlegm, barely able to summon the strength to breathe. The plague spreading like wildfire appeared at the same time as those disgusting creatures. And near as you can figure, they are the ones who brought it. Shakily, you rise to your feet. The creature will have to be dealt with, that much is certain. After resolving setup, if Abhoth is the Ancient One, each investigator spawns one cultist monster on a wilderness space that does not contain a cultist monster. So we will do that. So that's really bad. Especially when we know that he has effects that has to do with cultists. So I guess we'll just spawn them near our investigators, sort of. And we'll place one on space 4, one on space 10, one on the pyramids, and I think we will place the last one up on space 19. There we go. And what else happens? If Abhoth is not the Ancient One, well, he is, so whatever. Then each investigator gains one illness condition and one clue. So let's start by giving everyone one clue. Okay, now everyone has a clue, and we will pick one illness condition for everyone. Here we have the illness deck. So let's shuffle this a bit. Here we go, from the bottom. So Dexter will get a poison condition. When you perform a rest action, you cannot recover health nor sanity. Flip this card. On a reckoning, lose 1 health. And then we have Bob. He gets the same thing. He is also poisoned. And then we have Joe Diamond. He gets deceased. When you perform a rest action, roll 1 die. On a 5 or 6, discard this card. On a reckoning, test strength -1. If you fail, flip this card. And finally, Michael McGlenn. He is also deceased. So the same thing applies to him. So that's our prelude. Pretty bad considering our Ancient One. But I guess that's the point. Let's pick out our reserve, because I haven't done that yet. So first off we have the private flight. When you gain this card, immediately move to any space of your choice, then discard this card. Haven't seen that one before. And then we have the forbidden text. It's an item tome, gain +1 will and +2 will during combat encounters. Next up we have Consecration. It's a service. When you gain this card, immediately gain 1 boon condition, then discard this card. That's really good. So I guess we know what Michael McGlenn is going to do. And finally we have the Security Squad. It's an ally. When resolving a combat encounter, you may resolve an influence test in place of the strength test using the same test modifier. So that's pretty good, especially for, I think, Bob. If we can pick that up for him, but he also has his Winchester rifle in case something happens. And then we will spawn a gate, because I haven't done that yet. And it's in San Francisco with Joe. And since we spawned a gate, we also have to spawn a monster. We will do this. And we get a Flying Polyp with a Reckoning effect as well. Ooh, these are horrible. Will -1. Strength -2. It has 4 toughness, and on a Reckoning, move this monster to the nearest space containing a gate. So maybe Michael McGlenn should move over to San Francisco to deal with this. We'll see. And then finally, before we start, we'll also spawn 2 clues on the game board. So we have Space 13 up in nowhere. And we also have Space 11 down here in the Atlantic, I guess. And that's pretty much our setup. I should also mention that we have the expedition in Buenos Aires. Oh, probably the most important thing, we should also pick a mystery to start with. So here are the mysteries. Let's shuffle these and pick one. Okay. Let's see what horribleness we have to deal with first. Exploring the Caverns. The caverns twist and turn into the depths. Grey ooze dripping down the rocky walls. Screams of those taken by the children echo endlessly through the dark tunnels, but there is no help to be had. When this card enters play, place 1 Eldritch token on each of the following wilderness spaces: 4, 10, 19, and 21. So I will do that. Uh, 4 up where this cultist is. 10 where this cultist is. 19 where our third cultist is. And finally on space 21 here by Sydney, with no monster guarding it, thankfully. So let's see what we can do about this. As an encounter, an investigator on a space containing an Eldritch token may spend 1 clue to explore the caverns beneath the Earth's surface. If he spends the clue, he draws and resolves a deep cavern special encounters. At the end of the Mythos phase, if there are Eldritch tokens on this card equal to half investigators, solve this mystery. Okay. So at least everyone has clues, so that's a good start. So we should, I guess, get them moving towards these Eldritch tokens. Yeah, so that will be it for the setup, and I'll see you guys at turn 1. If I didn't mention it, by the way, Doom starts at 14. I think that's everything. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one!